A long time ago in Laos, my brother Chai and I would always go trap fish together at a clear lake. Like many people had said, it was before Americans bombed and poisoned the land of Laos and Vietnam. Therefore, anywhere you went, there were still a lot of animals. Chai and I would go to the lake with a net and catch fish, or we would trap them and count them in the morning. One evening, we went to the lake and dug some holes on the edge where the mud was. We put water and a piece of rotten meat inside the hole, but we made it deep so when the fish came out of the lake and went into the hole to eat the meat, they wouldn't be able to get back out. The next day, Chai and I went and checked on the holes. I dug 20 holes last night, and Chai dug around 30. Some holes had no fish in them, and the rotten meat was still there. But there are some that when you stick your hand in, you can feel the fish and you'll catch it and put it in your basket. This is how some Laotians fished during that time, so we were able to learn and apply it to our daily life. When Chai and I went there, some of the holes had fish, so we were getting fish into our basket. However, there was one hole where Chai stuck his hand in and grabbed something, and he pulled it out, and it was a water snake. It bit him on his arm, and he retracted his hand and dropped the snake on the ground. The snake was trying to slither away, but my brother Chai grabbed a stick and killed it. The snake was yellow and black, and we weren't sure whether or not it was venomous. Chai and I stopped fishing that day. Whatever we had in our basket, we just brought them home. That night, Chai was doing well. He had no issues, and the site where he was bitten wasn't bleeding or swelling. I guess the snake wasn't the venomous type. Even though the snake is not venomous, it has its different kinds of venom. Ever since Chai was bitten by that water snake, he started having strange dreams. Chai told me that the first night, he dreamed of going back to that lake to catch fish, and he saw a mother with 2 boys sitting on a big rock by the lake and crying. In the dream, Chai asked them what happened, and they said they were looking for their father. Their father went hunting and hasn't come back home. When my brother woke up that morning, he told my parents about it. My parents were worried, so they invited a shaman to do a ritual and see if it was something they should worry about. After the shaman performed his ritual, he told my parents and us that it was a complicated situation. It's not that Chai was just minding his own business, and they came to get him, but it is because he had done something bad to the spirit of the lake. Therefore, it's difficult to solve the problem. The shaman said that there's a mother and 2 boys who want their father back. Therefore, they want to take Chai to be their father. The shaman tied some religious strings to Chai's wrist and had him wear a necklace and a copper dragon bracelet to protect himself from water dragon spirits. That night, Chai went to sleep and he had a dream again. This time he was underwater, but he couldn't stay because his body would float. He's living a life where he has a wife and 2 boys. Everywhere they go, they have to hold Chai's hands because he's not a dragon, so his body kept floating back up. They live in a shiny palace with a king and a queen. The king's house has a roof that's very shiny, and it provides light to their palace. The king told Chai's wife and kids that they had to take Chai back. If one day Chai becomes like their dragon people, then Chai can come back to their palace, and there won't be any problems. Before Chai knew it, Chai and his wife were already standing on the edge of the lake. Chai's wife was crying and gave Chai a small pearl that looked like a white bean but was kind of shiny. His wife said to him, "Husband, you take this little pearl with you. If you don't miss me and our kids, then you go on and don't ever come back. But if you miss us and want to see us again, you swallow that pearl, and it will bring you back to us." Chai, walking back to our village and then on his way, he saw a duck couple with their ducklings crossing the road, and it made him miss his wife and kids so much that he decided to swallow that pearl. That was his dream. It was only his second dream of seeing that lady and the two little boys. But he said he felt as though he had lived a life with them for a long time. Chai doesn't know if anything will happen, because in his dream, he had swallowed the pearl. If it happens in real life, then he might not swallow that pearl, but it happens in his dream, so he couldn't control himself. Strangely, after that dream, Chai no longer dreams of the lady and two little boys anymore. Before, he always felt sick after the snake bit him, but after that night, he feels normal again and has the energy for his usual hobby. He was living a normal life. The following year is when Chai started to have problems. He's constantly dreaming of going to the lake and calling for his wife and kids, but when he steps into the lake, it's just water. He wasn't able to go back to the underwater palace to live with his wife and kids. Chai spends a lot more time sleeping during the days, and would sleep all night during the night. Even when we wake him up to eat, he doesn't eat very much, or sometimes when he eats very little. He would tell us that he used to have a life with his wife and two kids. When he dreams, it's like he's living in another world or timeline, and he misses his family so much. Despite my parents always trying to tell him that this is his life, and he has no other life, he persists that he really had a life before this one. I remember during that time, we constantly had shaman over to perform rituals and see what's going on. Every shaman said the same thing, that Chai's soul is going to shed. We don't understand. But the shaman said his soul was captured by dragon spirits, and he's trying to become like one of them dragon spirits. Ever since Chai was bitten by a water snake at the lake, Chai and I haven't returned to that lake. Our parents don't want us to go back there anymore. However, one day Chai was sleeping, and my father asked me to take him to where Chai was bitten. I took my father there to the lake. However, it was during the rainy season, so when we got there, the lake was bigger. The area where we dug holes and trapped fish is now covered with water. It wasn't raining when we got there. However, when my father started to light up the incense and burning joss papers to plead with the dragon spirits of the lake, it started to rain suddenly and heavily. The rains extinguished the burning on the incense and joss papers right away. My father stood back up and told me that we should just go home. On our way home, my father told me that the lake wasn't that big when he was still young. He and his friends used to dive underwater and swim in the lake. However, there was one year when 4 young men from their village all drowned in that lake and were not found until a few days later. After that, the lake has these dark, eerie feelings to it. Many villagers during his time had avoided that lake. When my father and I got home, it was still raining heavily. Chai and my mother were sitting by the fire pit in the house and baking sweet potatoes. My mother asked us where we went, and my father told her that we were going to the lake to burn some incense and joss papers. My mother then told my father that Chai is complaining of feeling something moving inside his stomach. When my father asked Chai, Chai confirmed that it is true. He's not feeling the movement at the moment, but sometimes he would feel that there's something moving or swimming inside his stomach. My father told Chai to lay down on the bed, and my father would feel his abdomen to see if he could detect the movement. However, when Chai lays down, and my father tries to feel for it, there's nothing. My family and everyone in the village fear that Chai has dragon sickness. The dragon sickness usually occurs when you've done something wrong to a dragon spirit and they come for you. At first, it's usually bad dreams of living underwater and couldn't breathe. The dreams are usually very draining and make you feel weak. The last sign and symptoms before death are feeling something moving in the stomach, and eventually, you will have an abdomen as big as a pregnant woman before you die. The following year, Chai's abdomen got bigger and bigger. It's as big as a pregnant woman in her 3rd trimester. Chai couldn't really eat anything. His face had changed. Chai had sunken eyes, and he's very skinny. During this time, he's very sick, but he can still walk around. Our relatives started to come over and see him, because the elders knew that this was the last stage of the dragon sickness. They knew that he was probably going to die that year. When the elders or our relatives come over, they always ask Chai to get up and sit on the chair by the fire pit to talk with them. Chai would tell the elders that he would often dream of living in a beautiful palace with his wife and 2 kids. It's a very beautiful palace with a king and queen. The towel of the king and queen is so shiny that it provides light to their palace. The elders would hold onto Chai's hands while listening to him talk. An auntie that came to see Chai asked him did he miss his wife and 2 kids. Chai would say that he's missing them so much that he would rather sleep so he could see and be with them. When he's awake, he's suffering. Therefore, he would rather sleep. The elders knew that Chai had never married and never had any kids. Chai only had 2 girlfriends before, but things didn't work out. He's still a single man. Why did he keep talking about his wife and 2 kids? The elders believe that something is possessing his body. They believe that it's the snake Chai killed on the side of the lake. That's probably a dragon spirit from the lake. That's what the elders believe because they've seen someone suffering from dragon sickness before. One morning when we woke up, Chai was gone. We thought maybe he's just going for a walk and he'll come back. But when he wasn't back by noon, my parents asked me to go get some of my friends to go look for Chai. After thoroughly looking for Chai in the village, my friends and I weren't able to find him. I told my parents this and got them very worried. My father believes that Chai might be going to the lake if he's not in the village. We gathered some more villagers to help us look for Chai. We all walked to the lake. From afar, we didn't see anyone at the lake. However, as we got closer, we spotted something. There's someone lying on a shallow hole by the side of the lake. We all rushed over to see who it was, and it was Chai. He was completely naked and lying on his left side in the shallow hole and looking at the lake. Upon careful examination, we noticed that his abdomen was wide open with something sticking out from it. An elder grabbed that thing that's sticking out from Chai's abdomen. He pulled it out, and it was a long snakeskin. Chai's abdomen does not appear like it was cut open from something sharp. It's like whatever is inside of his abdomen bite or claws its way out and slithered into the lake. Everyone is starting to get this chilling, eerie feeling in the area. We all carried Chai back to the village for a traditional funeral. After a few days, we buried him in the village's graveyard in the jungle. Our elders have seen people suffering from dragon sickness before. For me, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes what my older brother Chai went through during that time. It was scary. During the late stage of dragon sickness, the person who is affected will start talking about living another life, different from the one they're currently living in. When we migrated to Thailand and lived in refugee camps, I've seen 2 more cases of people suffering from dragon sickness. Could it just be an undiagnosed medical condition that we don't know about, and we just called it dragon sickness? I don't know. From what I've witnessed, it is more than just a medical condition. That's all for this video. Thank you for making all the way through and supporting my stories. Have a wonderful day or night.